Hey Fly Tires, welcome back. I'm Matt. Thanks for stopping by the channel. Now I've got a really simple pattern for you today. This one was created in the 1940s by Jack Schneider. It's called the Fledermaus. Now the word Fledermaus, it's German. It means Fledermaus, which is what they call bats. Now Jack said he gave this fly the name Fledermaus because it's most effective at dusk or at night when you see the bats out. Now a little bit about Jack Schneider. He was from San Jose, California. Now he was also a pretty established rod builder and a championship caster. In 1950 he won the Field and Stream Casting Championship. Now sadly, he passed away in 1952 from a heart attack when he was hiking on a fishing trip. But he did leave us this great pattern, and it's basically a fuzzy nymph. It reminds me a lot of the sheep fly that we've tied in the Great Smoky Mountain series. A similar body, but a squirrel tail for the wing, whereas the sheep fly had a grizzly hen for the wing. And speaking of fuzzy nymphs, Polly Rosborough talks about this fly in his book, Fuzzy Nymphs. He created his own called the Fledermouse Nymph, which he credits Jack Schneider as Polly's being a variant of Jack's, which is very similar, same profile, just a little bit different dubbing and a different wing. So they're both just fuzzy nymphs, don't look a lot like anything, but look like something alive and tasty to a fish. Now again, it's a super simple pattern to tie. I think you're gonna like it. Let's give it a shot. There it is in the vise, Jack Schneider's Fledermaus. I'm gonna be tying this on a size 10. It's a 1X long, 1X strong nymph hook. And I'm gonna be using black 70 denier, UTC. And I'll put a base down back to the start of the bend. Now I'm going to put a little wax on my thread, then grab some muskrat dubbing. Just a small patch of muskrat. Now if you're only making a couple of these flies, just pull it out a patch at a time. If I was going to make a dozen or so, I would probably grab several pieces and put it in my blender. But a small patch about like this. See all those guard hairs? I'm going to pull out all the guard hairs. It'll still keep some brown in there, but I'm pulling out the longest of the guard hairs right there. So now I got a mix of brown and gray, and I just mix it around in the palm of my hand. It'll give you a little ball of dubbing about like this right here. So I'm just going to touch it on. I'm going to dub this with a little bit of a taper, so it's going to be thinner in the back and then thicker up front. It'll probably take you 2 or 3 applications with this 1X long hook, but just take your time, put it on thin, and you can keep adding dubbing as needed. Okay, that's probably enough dubbing, and don't worry if it's a little fuzzy. We're going to brush it out and make it even fuzzier before we're done. So for the wing, just gray squirrel. I'm going to take a bunch of fibers from the side so you get the wide tips. And it's not a bunch. When I said bunch, I meant a clump. So it's a pretty small clump of it. So a piece about like this, I'm going to put it in my stacker. And squirrel hair is pretty slippery. It stacks really well. So take a look at this. Those tips right there are pretty well aligned. And that's a little bit more than I want, so I'm going to just pull out maybe a fourth of it. Okay, and that's about the length I want, maybe to the back of the body, but not all the way to the bend of the hook. So let's just switch hands here, catch this on with a pinch wrap, and then a couple of wraps. Be careful, I'm holding the back tight with my material hand. That's what I don't want to spin. I don't really care if the front of it spins around, so I'm going to hold this kind of tight and then put a few more wraps right here, and I'm going to trim off the front, but just be careful to keep the back lined up where you want. So I've got enough wraps to hold that on the top. I'm just going to lift this up here and then try to snip it as close as I can. Okay, that's going to give me room for a good head right here. Just going to take my thread right back up to the eye and then build a decent sized head right here. It is a nymph, and I like my nymphs to have decent sized heads, so I'm going to build this up and then probably a 4-turn whip finish before I put the head cement on it. There we go, some head cement, and the Fledermaus is, oh, not done yet, not done yet. Let's brush some of this out. We want this to have a little swept back look underneath. So my dubbing brush, toothbrush, bodkin, whatever you got. So just rough up the fur on the bottom, and you're gonna get a lot of that wiggly, nice, lifelike movement. So that's it, everybody. Very simple pattern to tie. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.